The solution is for us black people to assert our history, to change the narrative, to put forth our own narrative. The solution is for us black people to awake and affirm our true identity, to get out of the cage of materialism, take our religion, raise it to the level of an exact science that is always has been in ancient Kemet and as it is in Bukongo, the Congo religion. The solution is to change our system of education.
If the European civilization have always been around, how come they are just discovering the world? How come you are just discovering a world only a few hundreds of years ago, whereas you have been around for thousands of years? How come? I'm not able to understand that. I am not a historian, I don't know that. But it sounds really strange that this is the first time that Europeans are seeing Africans. This is the first time they are seeing River Niger. And this is only happening a few hundreds of years ago. How come?
They are discovering the world because they were the last to appear in this world. The European people appeared 8,000 years ago only. And remember also that during antiquity, after the invasion of ancient Egypt by the Grecians and later on the Romans, etc., the black people who were there in the Middle East, most of them came back to Africa. And eventually, they crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and went to Europe and brought civilization to Europe. One of the problems to which the black people of Africa have been confronted is the distortion and even outright negation of their history by the colonial authorities. Today, thanks to the use of DNA technology, new versions of history of the whole humanity are emerging. On the other hand, religion in ancient Egypt and in Sumer has been a knowledge that underpinned all the lore of the Blacks. In this communication, we will use both African traditional religion and the new discoveries brought by the DNA study to understand the origin of the Black race and the scope and reason of its spread in the whole world, starting from that which is the cradle of humanity. Thanks to the Kemetic cosmological argument, African traditional religion has been demonstrated since 2008 to be an exact science. This superior epistemic nature of religion has been kept in Bukongo, the Congo religion. Using the Kemetic cosmological argument, Using the Kemetic cosmological argument, we will explain the presence of the Black in ancient words. Thus, the Kemetic cosmological argument in this communication, we will use both African traditional religion and the new discoveries brought by the DNA study to understand the origin of the Black race and the scope and reason of its spread in the whole world, starting from that which is the cradle of humanity, Africa. Thanks to the Kemetic cosmological argument, African traditional religion has been demonstrated since 2008 to be an exact science. The superior epistemic nature of religion has been kept in Bukongo, the Congo religion. Using the Kemetic cosmological argument, we will explain the presence of the Black in ancient world. Thus, the Kemetic cosmological argument will be introduced summarily as follows. As an aggregate of individual entities, this temporal universe is an individual one. An individual temporal universe can only be the effect of an individual cause. Considering the infinity of possibilities, the individual nature of this cause begs the existence of other similar, effective, or potential causes, as many may have not yet created their respective universes. Here, let me introduce an hypothesis just for the sake of brevity. Any creation is included in its creator. Based on this hypothesis, an entity exists that includes all the above deduced causes or creators. This entity is the greatest possible being. It is therefore the Most High. The Most High must be indivisible and immutable, since any principle of his divisibility or mutability must be greater than him, an impossible fact. The Most High must be transcendent, that is, he is above everything and doesn't know evil, because due to his absolute indivisibility, in him, to know and to be are one and the same thing. To know evil, the Most High must be infinitely bad and infinitely good. This is an aberration. As a manifestation of the indivisible Most High, each creator, each child of the Most High expresses his fullness. We call this fullness the Logos. This temporal universe cannot be in the Most High due to his immutability. If it were, at the moment of creation, something new in the Most High, thus he will change. This change requires the principle of the mutability of the Most High, and this principle must be greater than the Supreme Being. That is, greater than the greatest possible being. This is impossible. This temporal universe cannot be outside of the Most High, for added to him, it will result in an entity greater than the greatest possible being, which is impossible. Therefore, the temporal universe is only a limited perception of the celestial reality in the temporal consciousness of the Creator. This is the proof of the validity of our hypothesis. Thus, reality is spiritual. The material is just an appearance of reality. The real is the invisible. The visible is but its limited appearance. Let us here speak of the different planes of the universe. Let us here speak of the different planes of the universe. Like radio stations that are at the same place, but their waves don't mingle one with another due to the different frequencies, the eternal heaven and the different temporal planes are here in this same location. However, each evolves in a precise individual state of consciousness. But for the sake of clarity, we can schematize the different planes as follows. At A, we have the eternal heaven. On the zone B, we have B and C constitute the intermediary zone, and C, D, and E constitute the temporal universe. So at the beginning, there is not C, B, and D. Thus, we have only A. The line L separates the temporal universe and the eternal heaven. Let us move. Since the Most High manifests his fullness in the children of God, this act is an expression of affection. Expressing an infinite affection to an infinite number of children, the Most High must be love, the principle of love. Since the Most High is absolutely immutable, he cannot deprive the child of his fullness, the Logos. Thus, the Father Mother is eternally loyal to the children of God, expressing a quality of truth that is loyalty infinitely to an infinite number of children. The Father Mother must be truth, the principle of truth. Therefore, the children of God are endowed with free will as the consequence of the nature of the Most High as truth and love. It ensures that as the child of God misuses his free will, he turns away from the indivisible celestial reality. He loses all sense of substantiality. However, he cannot be annihilated, since this will bring a relational change to the absolutely immutable Most High. Thus, the fallen child of God become a non-incarnated spirit groping in darkness and chaos in the zone B, which is the zone of potential existence in the eternal heaven. This before the appearance of the zone C, D, and E. Being deprived of the manifest expression of the Logos, the fallen children of God cannot save themselves. Thus, creation required the descent of the Creator in the temporal realm, precisely in the zone B, to help the non-incarnated spirits take a temporal form and begin their ascension back to the eternal heaven. With the descent of the Creator to the zone B, that zone ceases to be a zone of potential existence, that the zone C, D, and E appear. The non-incarnated spirits fall in zone C. Since it is the Most High that in the Creator through the Logos, creation is performed in full respect of the free will of the fallen children of God, of the non-incarnated spirits. Thus, has the Creator said, let there be light. Due to the exercise of free will, two extreme groups naturally appeared. First, those who accepted light fully and unconditionally to begin their ascension back to the eternal heaven. We call them children of light. They remained in the zone C. According to the chromatic science, they were black, which is the color that absorbs all light. This color is confirmed by the Sumerian, who teaches that God created black heads. That is, the original creation was constituted of black beings. Those who rejected light totally to remain as demons in the new temporal universe were naturally white. They will fall in the zone D. It ensures also that the existence of a middle group, it ensures also the existence of a middle group that at this level we call hominines. They fell in zone D, and they will separate also in two. First, the spiritual minded who look upward to the divinities, and those who look down to rely on materialism. It is obvious that the myth of the hominines and the demons would only lead to confusion. The Creator cannot descend below the line L. Has he never misused his free will? The resolution of the conflict, the confusion, is that the task of the children of light. The Sumerians referred to this stage of creation as one of the struggle between the gods, that is, the children of light, and the demons. Descending in the zone D, the children of light chased the demon in zone A, in zone E, and mixed their blood with the spiritual minded hominine, now the Homo sapiens. This mixing of blood brought the different hues of the African black and led to the constitution of the first solar civilization, the first civilization of the Black people. Ancient documents name these children of light the Anunnakis or the Nephilims in the Bible. Some Western scholars surmise that they were aliens Fortunately, the Baganda people of Uganda have the same myth, the myth of Kintu, and precisely affirm that they were children of God, Gulu, from heaven, not aliens. As for the second group of the hominines, they could evolve only thanks to the Homo sapiens mixing their blood with them. Thus started the history of the Black civilizing presence all over the ancient world. History confirms that the Homo sapiens were the first to appear on the earth, and new DNA technology attests that they never evolved toward humanity. As for the remaining hominines, they were found in Eurasia and in America. They were into two groups: the Neanderthals, who started from the caves of Caucasia in Russia and crossed the Strait of Bering to reach the America, and the Asian Denisovan, who originally lived in the Denisova cave in the Altai mountain of Siberia. These two groups had to evolve from ape-like stature to humanity by mixing their blood with the African Homo sapiens, with the Black people. From their African cradle, capitalizing on advantageous weather conditions, the Homo sapiens spread all over the world from the Middle East. But what we must seek here is to explain that which motivated the Homo sapiens to mix their blood with the lower group of hominines, the Neanderthals and the Denisovans. Modern history helps us understand this matter. According to the ancient Kemet and to the Sumerian, solar civilization, that of the black, and lunar civilization, that of the white, take turn every 3,000 years. However, the solar civilization lingers beyond its normal end time. The history of colonization and slavery teaches us the danger encountered by solar civilization at the end of its cycle, which is the risk of extermination by the materialistic-minded hominines. Hence, the natural remedy for the Homo sapiens was to mix their blood with the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, for these latter to be elevated to humanity. This civilizing spread of the Homo sapiens is attested, for instance, when one considers the ancient statues of Buddha in Asia. They reveal obvious black feature when considered from their noses, mouths, and hair. It is a natural tendency for the people to always represent its gods in its image. Thus, the black feature of ancient Buddha inform us that the Homo sapiens were in high stand in all Asiatic society. and that they were nearly venerated. In conclusion, the African people are the first human being to appear on this earth. Their original civilization is the result of mixing their blood with celestial visitors called Anunnaki or Nephilims. These children of light taught to the black the essentials of civilization. For their protection in the period of the hibernation of their civilization, the African Homo sapiens mixed their blood with the Neanderthals and the Denisovan in order to elevate them to humanity.
Thank you so much for that. That is really an important conversation. The first question actually I would like to ask is a curiosity as a matter of fact. This is based on the narrative that we know today. For example, we see many Europeans talking of discovering the world. The previous episode that we had, you call it stupid. And I said, yes, it really looks stupid because it didn't make any sense. If the European civilization have always been around, how come they are just discovering the world? How come you are just discovering a world only a few hundreds of years ago, whereas you have been around for thousands of years? How come? I'm not able to understand that. I am not a historian. I don't know that. But it sounds really strange that this is the first time that Europeans are seeing Africans. This is the first time they are seeing River Niger. And this is only happening a few hundreds of years ago. How come? So that when we deep down into history now, it appeared that the Europeans were not there. How do we explain this to a Euro-centric mind or to somebody who have this Euro-Western idea of life? Are they new to life itself? Where have they been all this while? Of course, I know you already have responded to that in part. But this is my curiosity. Why are the Europeans really discovering the world if they have been in the world all this while?
They are discovering the world because they were the last to appear in his world. The European people appeared 8,000 years ago only. And remember also that during antiquity, after the invasion of ancient Egypt by the Grecian and later on the Romans, etc., the Black people who were there in the Middle East, most of them came back to Africa. And eventually they crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and went to Europe and brought civilization to Europe. At that moment, Europe was colonized by the Black people, by the Moors. The Black people were being called at that time the Moor. Some people will say, oh no, the Moor were the Muslims. I will tell them, take the flag of the South, the Southern Isle of France, take the flag of the Southern Isle of Italy, take those two flags, of course, and Sardine, you will see a black head with a ribbon the ribbon on the front. That white ribbon was first on the eyes. It means that after getting their independence, they began to hang Black people who were ruling them. So they started to change, to make a tabula rasa of the Black history. They could not accept that the people they were reducing to slavery the people they were colonizing were once their masters. That's what happened. It is a former master being reduced to slavery and seeing his history being annihilated, denied completely. So the Europeans were not there since a long time, and from instinct, they always try to hide the truth of their being the last one to appear, and the truth of their being civilized by the black people.
Thank you so much for that. And talking of hidden or hiding, this is an article I was reading a while ago. And this article is available on a website that is known as Black Past. Of course, many people can check it out for themselves. Now, I would like to just read a part of it, then ask you your observation or your question as it were. This is the part that in the following account, Professor Alison Blackley of Boston University described the presence of blacks in early modern Europe. His article reminds us that persons of African ancestry resided across Europe. Their number ranged from a few hundred scattered across Germany, Scandinavia, and Russia in the period between the 16th and 18th century to approximately 150,000 on the Iberian Peninsula. Now, of course, I'm not going in detail to share what is the content of that article. I believe people can read it for themselves. And like I said, I'm going to be bringing out different sources like this, and I will just be asking you your opinion so that people understand that we are not just throwing out information only from our head. There are a lot of documentation like this in the course of this conversation that we are going to be showing from different academia who have spoken up on the issue. Why do you think a lot of European scholars didn't even make mention of this? In fact, you call it hidden history. In fact, that is how this article also is titled, that is hidden. They are hiding it from the people. Why are they doing this?
They already inculcated to their children that they are the superior race. They already inculcated to their children that the black people were monkeys. So it was difficult for them to change the narrative. However, new discovery made by DNA has forced them to accept the truth that no, they were the one who evolved from the ape-like nature to humanity. So the fact is that they were using lies at the beginning in order to justify their evil conduct against the black people. That is why they could not affirm the truth. They did know this truth since a very long time, but they could not affirm it because their pride was at stake.
So it was only a question of pride that they didn't want to
Yes.
admit what was happening. Because this pride will later condition a lot of people, millions of people to die as Europeans were expanding on the world. Because the story again goes, Europeans are discovering Africa only a few hundreds of years ago. They are discovering the Australia, they are discovering the America, they are discovering every part of the world. It doesn't even make any sense. Why are you discovering a world that you have been all this while? And why are you meeting people in a land that you are destroying? What is the problem here? Why are they not saying the truth? to what is really happening. Because if you have been around, you will meet yourself, but you are now meeting other people that didn't look like you.
The problem is what we call the miseducation of the people. As they control the system of education, they began to miseducate the colonized people by teaching them, by first erasing their history and teaching them falsities as being the truth. I spoke about President Erdogan of Turkey visiting, I think in 2016, visiting Cuba. And he said to the Cuban people, we have to build mosques here because when Columbus reached America for the first time, he found a mosque here. Oh, my question is, who built that mosque? Who brought Islam there? We know of a ruler of Mali who went to America. He didn't come back. But the white people will tell us, oh, he has drowned in the ocean. No, he hasn't drowned in the ocean. He reached America and stayed in in what is now Mexico, and that is why we have those black heads in stones there. And when Columbus and his army was exterminating the Indians of the Isle of Domain, which will become later Haiti, those Indians tried to kill the black people because they knew that the black people were there and they were mighty soldiers. So the white people were just trying to rewrite history. But as it is said often here by musicians, that the truth takes the stairs and arrives slowly, while the lie takes the elevator, but eventually it will be overtaken by the truth.
Now, it is even difficult to hide the truth. In that, for how long are you going to hide it? It's going to come out at a point because the evidence is too big. If you are talking of one building, of course, you could destroy it. But if you are talking of a large expanse of land, civilization buried under the earth, one day you are going to unearth it. But still, people are creating stories to hide what you have in front of you, that is not what it is. It's something completely different. Like, for example, like the pyramids in Africa were built by aliens. But how do we explain that? The aliens having a rationality of the human being. So this is how the alien reason. They are setting up defenses. But how do aliens set up a defense against men? How do aliens come to reason like men? Because it is men that are talking in relation to other men. So I don't think it makes sense, really, but many people think it makes sense to them. So this question of alien, you were talking before, I think maybe you might like to clarify it more for us. Because many people, of course not everybody, really do believe that the alien will build the pyramid. And when you tell them that, okay, we're not only talking of pyramid in Africa, talking of mega structure. We are talking of the walls of Benin, for example. You know, they said that those were built by the Atlanteans. They were looking for this civilization. Again, Europeans are looking for civilization. But if you have been around, you will know this civilization. Your ancestors would have told you in their story. Now you are discovering civilization, meaning that it didn't come to your knowledge before. How do we reconcile that?
You know, The white people resigning is a cage resigning. They are in a cage where they are feared without proof that reality is material. And because they sustain that reality is material, they can see things only through that limitation. They cannot accept that people can come from higher planes and appear here. Let me here draw your attention to the Bible, which is a book they have. In the Bible, it is said Abraham and Lot received angels, visitants who came to them. Those angels dined with Abraham. They went to sleep in the house of Lot. They were even threatened by the people who were living in Sodom and Gomorrah. So even from the point of view of the Bible, we learn that celestial visitant can appear here. This is not something strange for the Black people because they know that reality is spiritual and not material, and that the material limitation is but an illusion.
And I also like the idea that this conversation didn't just start by looking at only historical fact. You also brought out the spiritual aspect of it. And that is important for somebody who wants to explore it further. That is important. And then you made mention of also of African presence in Asia continent, making mention of Buddha and the rest of that. Is that something you would like to share more for people to understand?
In fact, if you see the old statues of Buddha, they all present Black feature, Black noses, Black mouth, Black hairs, kind of hairs, etc. This is very meaningful because in a civilization, people used to depict their god like themselves or like what they take as being the most prized in their society. And the fact that the god Buddha was represented as Black means that at that moment, the Homo sapiens from Africa reached Asia and was venerated there. We know also from history that there are a lot of similarities between some tongues of Benin and the language of the Japanese, which suggests also that the Black people went even to Asia, to Japan, and even to China. Those Asians were witnessing also the presence of the Black as a civilizing presence in ancient time.
Thank you so much for that. Again, I was looking out before a document. I think this is in Michigan State University. Of course, it's a person that I respect a lot who cited in the article. I'm talking of Rashidi. He have done a lot of research about African presence in different parts of the world, the Aborigine and the rest of it. Now, I just want to read this part, and then, of course, I will ask your opinion of it. It said, a historical overview relate that African presence in early Asia began more than 500 years, though archaeological evidence show there were migration from Africa to Asia millions of years ago. This, of course, is said by Rashidi. He discussed the arrival in Asia with Black, slightly larger bodily proportion, and further distinguished by straight to wavy head texture. These blacks were probably at their zenith 25 years and are still prevalent in large number throughout Asia. And of course, like the documentation of Rashid, of course, many people can read online. There are many other publications like that. This, of course, is coming from Michigan State University. Of course, there are many. There are many out there for people who want to understand what is happening. We are talking about the presence of Africans in the ancient world. That it is not new. There are evidence everywhere. We're not even going to touch the homings, for example, these large heads that are found in Mesoamerica, who, when you look at them, you see Africa for yourself. There is no need to even describe it. You know this is African person. So all this evidence are there for people to understand. So what is your take on that?
We were the first because we never evolved to humanity. We are the result of the mixing of the blood with the divine, the Anunnakis. So we were the first when the other was living in caves, and due to good condition, we will spread all over the world. But also for our protection, because civilization used to awaken, work, attend a party, and sleep. So we knew that while we are asleep, it is a dangerous moment. And this led our ancestors, the Homo sapiens, to mix their blood with the Neanderthal and the Denisovans in order to elevate their humanity. It was a means of their own protection, the protection of the blacks. So we were the first, and the other people could reach humanity only by mixing their blood with us, or with us mixing our blood with them. And this is what is emerging. What is emerging? The fact that the gods were depicted as black people means that we were in high stand in the opinion of the people of Asia.
Thank you for that. Now, I remember what you were saying before, because that is important, in that people couldn't pretend not to know of this information of what the black people represented in the world, that they were actually seen as the gods. Because now, for the enslavement of the black people to be justified now, they first of all need to renounce that that was not the case. You need to change the narrative.
There is a problem of conscience here. Those people are human beings. They have a conscience, and the conscience tells them that what we are doing is bad. So they needed to kind of intoxicate their consciousness, not with wine, but they did it with religion. So religion helped them by telling them, they are not fully human beings. As you said, oh, they don't have soul. So you can do whatever you can with them. They are not human beings. So religion was a kind of narcotic, helping them to soothe their conscience and act as what they were doing was normal, was good. So there is a big responsibility of the Vatican in all of this. The Vatican helped them in order to justify the horror they were in, they were perpetrating. And I know in due time that church had also to recognize its mistakes. So it was a problem of conscience, people trying to lie their conscience. But this process cannot last any longer because new discoveries are putting the truth in front. The black people were the Homo sapiens. They never evolved, while the other races evolved from the ape-like nature of humanity, thanks to the blood of the black people.
Now, I will show you the last evidence here, then I'll ask you a few questions to conclude the conversation. Now, I think this one is coming from, let me see, it's coming from the National Museum of the American Indian. We are indigenous people of what is currently known as the Americans and the Caribbean. And we are also the descendant of indigenous people of Africa. Of course, all this information are available for people who want to see, who want to understand that we are not just pouring out our frustration. We are talking about what is available out for everybody to see. So what will be the solution? That is where it usually will lead us to. Because now all this evidence are there. If you know where to look.
The solution is for us black people to awake. The solution is for us black people to assert our true history, to change the narrative, to put forth our own narrative. The solution is for us black people to awake and affirm our true identity, to get out of the cage of materialism, take our religion, raise it to the level of an exact science that is always has been in ancient Kemet and as it is in Congo, the Congo religion. The solution is to change our system of education. We have to rebuild ourselves to reaffirm our true history, and from that true history, bring back the glory of our civilization. This is not anymore a dream. We are at the moment predicted in history where this has to happen. The year 2000 was the starting point of the awakening of the Black people. And we are seeing all this truth coming forth because it is time for us to awaken and to force the other people to respect us.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate your time and the sharing. Now, how can people find you online to see more of what you are doing? Because what you are saying is what you are doing. You have a lot of books out there that they can read. Share with them how to find you and your work.
I wrote about 16 books that can be found in Amazon. They just have to Google my name, Luyaluka. They will find all my books. They are available there. I wrote 32 scientific papers then they can find in academia.edu, or they can go in my website, Congo with K, congospirituality.com, where they can find all this information. I organize two kind of courses. The academic courses, that is a series of a 6-week series course where I introduce people to the scientific nature of their religion and I prepare them for the initiation. And I have also the initiation, which is another part. So all these packages are available. They can see them in my website, congospirituality.com.
All right. So, what will be your final thought here to conclude the conversation that we have had today about the presence of Africans in different parts of the world?
We have to know that we Black people were the first to appear in this earth. Due to good condition, we spread all about the world, while the other races did not yet reach humanity. and later on for our protection, because civilization has to awake, to work, and to sleep. For our protection during the hibernation of our civilization, we mixed our blood with the Neanderthals and the Denisovans. That's how the other races came to exist. We are the firstborn. We have to claim our rights.
Thank you so much. And of course, it's not the last time we will be talking. We will also pick up the conversation again, because this is what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to continuously talk about the issue that concerns us. We cannot expect other people to do this for us. We will spend our time and resources to do this because it is our mission to make sure that we own our voice. Thank you so much, sir.
It's my pleasure.